Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Exactly. These playoffs already have been wild. I think the NBA reported the viewership is up like 15% over last year already, and last year was a record-breaking year for viewership in the NBA, and I can see why. This weekend, I literally no-lifed watching basketball, and I'm not even mad about it. Kinda wish there were going to be more than just 2 games on tonight. Anyways, though, we got some serious stuff to talk about today, but before we get into that, I do have to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, SportsQ Trivia. And guess what? You guys asked for it. You demanded it. So we decided to deliver. SportsQ Trivia is now live on Android. That's right. You can go to the links down below on your Android device and download SportsQ Trivia. There is another game tonight, so go download it and check it out. Anyways, though, now we can just talk about what we gotta talk about from yesterday. And the first thing we gotta talk about is right here.
It was pretty much nothing for LeBron James. He had no support whatsoever.
Now, I respect Stephen Naismith a lot. Some people, of course, don't like him, and I don't agree with everything he says either. But I have a heck of a lot of respect for Stephen A. Smith, even kind of look up to him just because of how hard the man works alone. I mean, ESPN has a guy working like a dog. Everywhere you look, you see a new ESPN video with Stephen A. Smith in it. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, 3 o'clock in the morning, no problem. Something happens, bang, Stephen A. Smith somehow popping up in the studio reporting on it. So the amount of respect I have for him is unreal. That being said, I do have to disagree with him here. The reason the Cleveland Cavaliers lost that game yesterday, LeBron's first time losing a game in the first round in 8 seasons, isn't because LeBron had no support. It was because the Pacers wanted it more. That simple. The Cavs just got beat. And I think it's a little disrespectful to the way the Pacers played yesterday to say the only reason they won is because LeBron didn't have any help. Indy was just playing some fantastic defense for all but maybe 5 minutes when the Cavs got back to within 6 or 7 points towards the end of the third quarter. For the most part though, the defense the Pacers played yesterday was next level. The hustle that Indy displayed that game was next level. If there was a loose ball, a Pacers player was already the first guy on the ground to go for it. Whenever there was a rebound to be had, the Pacers as a team crashed the boards for it. When you would see LeBron James turning the quarter trying to come downhill to attack the paint, you had a couple of guys coming to the paint to help out, force him to try and kick the ball out and make someone else make a play. And afterwards, their recovery time on the other players was phenomenal as well. They had active hands, were playing the passing lanes. They defended the Cavs just about as well as the Cavs have been defended this entire season. And that is why you saw everyone else not really being super effective just because of the level of defense. Everyone besides J.R. Smith and LeBron James was struggling. I'd even say that they defended LeBron James just about as well as you can defend LeBron James. So to say that the Pacers won that game only because LeBron didn't have enough help, as if the Pacers were just making all their shots and no one on the Cavs besides LeBron was making any shots, isn't an accurate depiction of the actual game to me. Because it's not like the Pacers just couldn't miss yesterday or anything like that. Actually, outside of Victor Oladipo, the Pacers were playing below average on the offensive end. Darren Collison led the league in 3-point percentage this season. He was missing all of his shots all night long. Bogdanovich, another great shooter, couldn't get anything to fall. Sabonis was battling foul trouble all night. Corey Joe off the bench was struggling. Stevenson, well, I don't know what to say about that guy. He was fantastically terrible yesterday, and I think Nate McMillan might have left him in the game for a bit too long in the third quarter, because he is the type of player that when he's playing well, he is playing extremely well, but once he makes a couple of mistakes or does something crazy, it's time to take him out because things only snowball downhill from there. And that is why the Cavs almost got back into the game, because of the Lance Stevenson effect. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make here is that it wasn't LeBron's lack of help that doomed the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. The Pacers just outplayed the Cavs in every single way. Even LeBron said after the game yesterday that the Pacers were just the hungrier team. They were more aggressive, more assertive.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they came in and they dictated the tempo. They were more aggressive. They just played inspired basketball, and they just took advantage of everything that we wanted to try to do. They were more physical than us at the point of attack. They were more precise with what they wanted to do. And you know, we couldn't score the ball.
And Oladipo said after the game yesterday that he and the Pacers believe they have a chance to win this thing. They think they can take the series from LeBron James.
I believe that we can win. We came into this game playing with a mentality that we were going to attack on both ends of the floor, and been playing like we've been playing all year. And we did a great job of that. But it's like I said, it's only one game. It's only game one. So got to get ready for game 2.
And they played like they think they have a chance at it yesterday. From the opening tip, they weren't scared. They didn't play like they were playing against a man who has never lost in the first round. They played LeBron James as if he was just another guy and the Cleveland Cavaliers were just another team. As for LeBron though, I do want to say that I think he should have looked to have been a little more aggressive finding his own shot in the first quarter, especially when he saw how the game was going when the Cavs fell down 10, 12 points. He should have tried to take the game over a little bit earlier, because by the time he tried to take the game over, it was too late. Indiana already smelled blood and they were not going to let up. They were not going to lose at that point. As for the series as a whole, LeBron James isn't worried or fazed about this, and you shouldn't expect him to be. He said after the game that he had been down 3-1 to the Warriors in the finals, so being down 0-1 to Indy in the first round is probably the least scary thing to him.
I've always stayed even keel with the postseason. That's just, I'm down 0-1 in the first round. I was down 3-1 in the finals, so I'm the last guy to ask about how you gonna feel the next couple of days.
So he ain't tripping at all, but I do have to say, if you're the Pacers, you have to feel fantastic about the position you are in. You have just proven that you can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now you just have to go out there every other single game, no matter what's happening, and play with the same intensity and try to make a few more of your shots on offense. Other than that, you just pray that LeBron James doesn't overwhelm you by himself. All right, the next thing that we gotta talk about is the fact that these rookies keep surprising us. I said yesterday that this whole playoff experience thing is being proven to be overrated by Ben Simmons after the way he performed in his first game in the playoffs against the Miami Heat. And a lot of you were saying, well, this is just an exception. Ben Simmons is already a phenomenal player. He's on his way to becoming an NBA legend, so it's kind of hard to say that he's just proving it wrong when he is just such a rare case, which could be true. I see what you're saying, but then again, we had a couple more players prove that playoff experience is overrated yesterday. Donovan Mitchell and Jayson Tatum. And let's start with Jayson Tatum. Of course, the Boston Celtics versus Milwaukee Bucks is a series that we have to keep an eye on. I think for most people, it's the Bucks that should be able to win this one just because of how banged up the Celtics are. No Kyrie Irving, of course, no Gordon Hayward, and not even a Marcus Smart. But meanwhile, for the Bucks, you're 100% healthy. But the one thing that has people keeping faith that the Celtics will at least be able to make a match out of this and maybe even make it out of the first round is just because of how well coached they are. I mean, Brad Stevens is a phenomenal coach, and against the Bucks team that doesn't even have a permanent head coach right now, has been a very dysfunctional and disappointing team this season. Even without their two best players, it wouldn't be that hard to imagine a scenario in which the Celtics win this series. On top of that, for Boston though, it's also going to depend on how both Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown play. Now, how well they're able to perform in the playoffs and if they can step it up even more. And let me just say, they did not disappoint at all. Jayson Tatum, in his first ever playoff game, scored 19 points to go along with 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. In his first playoff game, the man did it all. And Jaylen Brown, even though this wasn't his first time in the playoffs, he showed massive improvement from the first time he was in the playoffs, and he scored 20 points. And also, quick side note, the Al Horford that we saw in the playoffs last year, he's back too, and that's gonna be huge. A culmination of those things, as well as something else that we have to talk about in a bit, is the reason the Celtics were able to beat the Bucks in game 1 of what is expected to be a very close series. But that's enough about Boston. Let me talk about the real reason the Bucks didn't win yesterday. And before I get into that, I do want to say that I think that the last foul on Giannis, where he fouled out of the game in overtime, it shouldn't have been a foul. That looked more like a jump ball to me, but I'm just saying, not much we can do about that at this point. The Bucks would have been in that situation though, where Giannis had to foul out, if it wasn't for one very specific player, Eric Bledsoe. How on earth did this man get outplayed by Shane Larkin? Bledsoe was single-handedly the player that doomed Milwaukee yesterday. 9 points, 4 assists, 5 turnovers, and you fouled out. Yo, you gotta be better than that. The Bucks traded for you so you can help and try and lead this team further in the playoffs. You gotta do better than that. You see Giannis out there busting his butt. Middleton was out here trying to save your career by hitting a miracle triple at the buzzer. Even John Henson was working his tail off in the defensive end, and the best you can do is 4 assists and 5 turnovers while fouling out. Nah, that can't happen, my guy. Moving on though to Donovan Mitchell. While he may have played great last night, his story wasn't as successful as Jayson Tatum. And honestly, this guy just got super unlucky to have drawn OKC in the first round, because we all know that this Thunder team is going to do well in the playoffs. They may not be the best regular season team due to their inconsistencies, but in the playoffs, you had to know that they were going to be a different animal, and that is why despite Mitchell putting up 27 points and 10 rebounds in his playoff debut, the Thunder still got the win. Yo, Paul George picked up right where he left off to end the regular season, still on fire with his shot. 8 of 11 from deep for him yesterday for 36 points. Didn't have a single assist, but I'm not mad at him for that. When you're shooting the ball as well as he was yesterday, why would you want him to pass? Anyways though, the key for this series for the Jazz, if they want to beat the Thunder, lies with Rudy Gobert. It's going to be a tough series for him just because I think the strength of Steven Adams is going to prevent him from being as effective as he can be down low. Adams is one of the very few players in the NBA that can move Gobert out of the way, both on boards but also for defensive positioning. And you already saw this during the regular season. In the 2 games Gobert was able to play against the Thunder during the regular season, he struggled big time, only averaging 10 points, 10 rebounds, and not even a full block per game. He is really going to have to find some way to be dominant even with Steven Adams checking him down low if the Jazz are going to want to come away with a win in this series. Lastly, we got the Houston Rockets, and this was a strange game. I'm not surprised that the Rockets won, and actually it's a good sign that the Rockets did win because overall they played terribly yesterday. James Harden was fantastic as he once again showed why he is going to be the MVP this year. 44 points on a night where no one else could get it going. I believe he had 12 straight points in the fourth quarter too. Man literally put the team on his back in the playoffs, but I mean, the Rockets were supposed to have one of the best benches in the NBA, and they got outplayed by the bench of the Wolves, one of the worst benches in the NBA. So it is good that the Rockets were still able to clutch out a win on one of their worst nights. And as long as James Harden is playing well, I'm not too worried. Everyone else just needs to start making shots and they'll be fine. It's that simple. For the Wolves though, I am extremely disappointed in Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns. I think Wiggins was better than both of them last night, and that's a problem. Derrick Rose off the bench was better than both of them, and that is a huge problem. Clint Capella absolutely dominated his matchup with Karl Anthony Towns, and Capella might be one of the best defensive bigs in the league, but Towns has to be more aggressive than he was last night. 8 points is just unacceptable. You're way too talented to only come up with 8 points in a playoff matchup. I don't care if you are being defended by Clint Capella. And Butler, you gotta be more aggressive as well. You should know this. You're the veteran on the team. You have the most playoff experience. You should know what you gotta do in the playoffs. You gotta become Jimmy Gets buckets. But overall, neither one of these two teams played good yesterday. The only difference was the Rockets had James Harden, the Wolves didn't. And I think if Minnesota was going to win a game in this series, this would have been a good one to win, because I'd be surprised if the Rockets ever had another shooting night like that in this series, where they go 10 of 37 from deep. The Wolves had a chance to capitalize yesterday, but they just didn't take advantage of it, and it's a shame. Now they just have to hope that either the Houston Rockets have another night like this where they're not able to make a shot, or they just have to hope that they themselves catch on absolute fire, because that's what it's going to take for them to be able to keep up with the firepower that the Houston Rockets have. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you thought of the games from yesterday down in the comment section below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to smack that like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more daily NBA video. Thank you once again for watching. I'll see all of you right back here tomorrow. But until then, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!